Hey y'all! Happy Wednesday! Happy New Year! Very excited to be back at it with Wind Down Wednesday. So as always, grab what you need to get comfortable, and I'll see you back here in 30 seconds. All right. How is everybody? I am really happy to kind of be back in this space after taking December off from this series. December was super busy. And the holidays were super busy and they were lovely. But, it's like the chaos of everything. Last month we had our state conference, which was absolutely wonderful and so much fun. It was really cool just again, like reconnect with so many of y'all and again, just like share space and be together and learn new things and make new friends and all of that. So I loved it. If you were there, I hope you enjoyed yourself. We're already talking about next year. This year we had a brand new location, which was really exciting. So we're already kind of thinking about different ways to utilize the space and all of that. So very, very excited about the conference and kind of like moving forward, like what that could look like. Earlier this week, the IRC staff held one of our quarterly retreats. So I don't know if y'all know that we do that, but every quarter, everybody on the IRC staff. So that includes all the specialists like me, all of our business office, marketing, billing, everyone comes together. And we look at how we're doing as an organization and our goals and our next steps and things like that. So it's always a time that re-energizes me and kind of helps remind us of our mission and vision as an organization, as a nonprofit, and the work that we do in serving and supporting our community that serves and supports multilingual students and families and programming. So anyway, that was quite lovely this week. And it was a great way to kind of begin this brand new year. And then I was also in a district this week, which was super, super fun. Like, I don't know, sometimes like you go to a place in a space and like there's just such good vibes and such good energy. And the whole session was centered on linguistically supportive play-based learning in pre-K settings. And it was a hoot. Like we just had such a fun time. So I really enjoyed that. And speaking of, I get asked this a lot, like through either social media or email. Yes, you can bring IRC specialists out to your school district. We do workshops. We can totally customize those workshops to like whatever your district or your school's goals are. And that goes anywhere from pre-K through high school. We do family engagement stuff. We do strategy sessions. We do cultural competencies, supporting the equity continuum. Like there's just so many different things. So if you have that as a goal to have some professional learning experiences, give us a call or reach out to any one of us, and we'd be happy to set up a time to chat with you about all of those things. And I will also say, I know it's January right now, and so it feels very early, but if you have designated times and spaces that you want IRC to support you in August or over the summer, please, 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 please reach out now. I know, again, it sounds very early, but we're already booking. So if you have a need for a keynote in August, or you have a need for like those onboarding sessions for new staff, or like one of your welcome back institute days, or like anything at all, August fills quite quickly. So please reach out to us like soon because we would love to support you with that work because it's fun. It's good stuff. So tonight, because it is like the first episode of 2025, I wanted to do one of those like trends of ins and outs. And I did this last year. And so I'm going to share on the bottom of the screen. I have a few templates just on my blog, and they're nothing like wild or cool or fancy. But if you wanted to do this as an educator or leader, just to kind of take stock for you, what is like your in like list and what is your list of outs? Like what's in for you this year, what's out for you. If you wanted to do this with your students, I also have a few templates on my blog for that. So again, it's kind of just taking that like social media trend. I saw it a lot last year. I did still see it this year of like just listing out your ins and outs. I think it's a different way of kind of setting new intentions for the new year. And I think this is actually really good for us as teachers. I have been very open and honest about my own journey with my mental health during the winter months. I get seasonal affective disorder pretty bad every winter. And I try everything, but it really does get worse every year. And so I'm always open to like other things and ideas and tools to equip myself so that I can help myself navigate these months. But I need the sun, you guys. I need the sun. We had some sunshine today, which was great, but I don't know, like the winter months are really hard and access season is upon us. And I don't know. I've connected with some of y'all over this too, because you also suffer from this. So, but having some dedicated reflection time and space that's kind of just like protected to say like, this is where I was in 2024, either like mentally, spiritually, financially, like where personally, like wherever. And then to be able to like stop mid-year, right? Mid-school year and be able to say, this is what I am aspiring towards this coming year. So I like the idea of ins and outs versus like New Year's resolutions. And also like, I've also seen the trend, like the one word. And I have tried to do that, but I think I lose steam. And I don't know if it's like my attention span or the sustainability. I don't know. I don't know what it is for me, but that has not worked for me very well. But if you have a one word, I would love to see it and hear about it because I do know that is a system and structure that works for a lot of us. So please feel free to add that to the comments in the chat. Okay, so without further ado, my ins and outs for 2025. I am still like, every time I write the date, I still write 2024. And it's probably going to be that way for the next month. I'll try my best. I will try my best. Okay. Number one, my first in for 2025, I want to read more for fun. That sounds maybe silly, but I really do need that. I really do. And so over break, I was able to break out my Kindle. And that was a whole other thing too, because I love a paper book in front, like a physical book. I like to physically turn the pages. I like to smell books. Do y'all do that? But anyway, I busted out my Kindle and I read a book that has been on my like to read list forever. It's like one of my favorite authors. I think her name is Catherine Andrews. Very nice. Like people would say like that's a fluffy read. Like it's just kind of like light and like a feel good, like, oh, it's almost like a Hallmark, like romantic comedy style. So I loved it, but it was so much fun for me to like disappear into a book for a little bit. So I'm trying to commit to reading more for fun. That's a hard thing for me to do though, because every time I have like a few minutes and I'm like, I'm going to read, I'll always pick up a professional book, and which is good, but I also need to like create that time and space and like honor it. So kind of related to that is the out for 2025. And this one is going to be way harder for me. Doom scrolling and unintentional screen time. We have these things in our pockets all the day long, every day. And so when I'm like like waiting to pick up my kids from somewhere, I'll pull out my cell phone. Like if I'm parked, like I'm safe about it, you guys. I'm not texting and driving, none of that. But when I'm parked and I'm waiting for my kids, I should just bring my Kindle in my purse, but I don't. But I need to. I will pull out my cell phone and I'll just mindlessly scroll. Sometimes, though, I will say, like sometimes I do need that. Like I follow a lot of like fashion bloggers and stuff like that, and like I love watching makeup tutorials. I love it. I love it. But I do like, I don't know, there's probably a tracker on my phone somewhere. I don't know enough about how to use my cell phone. That's a whole other thing. But if I were to track my screen time, I would be, I'm sure, like so horribly embarrassed. I'm like ashamed of myself. So I just want to be a little bit more intentional with my screen time, because I do use my social media a lot for work purposes, right? Like I really do. Yeah. So I just need to be a little bit more intentional with my screen time. The next in is another one that's centered on reading. I do a lot of reading in my work. One of my ins is going to be reading the books I already have, because I have a big stack of books that I just get so excited about. Someone will post like, oh, I just released this book, or like, I just read this and it's like so transformational and great. And I'm like, yeah. And then I order it, and then it just adds to my stack. And then every time I look at the stack of books, I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm so behind, which is not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. But let me share with you, because of who I am as a person, what I have on my to read stack right now, because these are newer or new-ish. Where's the other one? So this other one I put in my bag because I was like, I'm going to read it when I'm waiting for stuff to happen. Okay. This one is The Courageous Classroom by Jed Dearybury and Dr. Janet Taylor. I'm really excited about this one. The subtitle is that the right word? Subtitle? I don't know. I think that's the word. Creating a culture of safety for students to learn and thrive. So this is fantastic. I am obsessed with Jed Dearybury. I think he's this like coolest, nicest human being in the world. I've read several of his other books, but I have not read this one yet. So this is The Courageous Classroom. This is on my list to read. Another one is Sustaining Excellence: How Culture Drives Teacher Retention by Martin Silverman. I have been connected to Mr. Silverman for a bit, like several years, I want to say, just on social media. And so when he posted this new release of his, I was really excited to read it. So, and I know a few of my like favorite human beings are featured in the book. So I'm really excited to read this. If you're a leader, this might be one that interests you as well. So that's one. Let me find a new spot here. This one I'm really excited about. This is a Corwin book. This one's called Overhauling Learning for Multilingual Students: An Approach for Achieving Pedagogical Justice. Jeff's Wires. Okay. I'm really excited to read this. I have it ordered. It's here in my office. Haven't read it yet, but I'm very excited to. Overhauling Learning for Multilingual Students. And then this one, I'm really, really excited to read this one. This might be my next professional read. Language of Identity, Language of Access: Liberatory Learning for Multilingual Classrooms. Michelle Venegas and Natalia Benjamin are the authors of this book. But I want to highlight, because I love like just being able to flip through books. I don't know if you can really tell from, I did a TikTok on this one too, because I was just really excited with how the book is laid out. But there's a lot of different like templates in here, a lot of different QR codes too. So I appreciate that when I'm reading a book, because it just feels a little bit more interactive. So I'm excited to explore those books. So if you have a book that is on your list, I'd love to hear about it. But I'm going to try real hard not to order it until I read all my current books. So I should like do an update in a month and see how I'm doing with some of these ins and outs, just to hold myself accountable. So that's another in. reading more professional books that I already own, that I was excited to order, and I'm excited to read. Okay. Another out that I have, and this one's really hard, you guys. This one's really, really hard for me. Saying yes. Did you hear my dogs? This is what they do. This is what they do. This is just who they are. They send their love. They're excited about this one. My out is saying yes to everything and everyone. Do y'all struggle with that? This is so hard. I don't understand why I do this. I know that I am like a recovering people pleaser. But I think the other lens of this is that, like, as somebody who I have like identified myself as an advocate for communities that I serve and support. And so I think that I still struggle to this day after like 20 years of doing this, because I know the needs are so great within our community. I have this like tendency, and I think it's part of it is conditioning. Like, I've been conditioned. Had to close my door, even though that door is going to open in a minute. I know it. The Great Dane figured out how to open it. That's fine. But I think I've been conditioned by people telling me early in my career, well, Carly, if you don't do this, no one will. And that doesn't feel good. Number one, that's like a really harmful belief system, like, and a really harmful reality, if that is the reality in your space too. Not any single one of us should be the one person that could do something. You know what I mean? So I need to still work on that, like saying yes to everything and everyone. I need to be able to empower myself to say no sometimes, because as an advocate, like, I have to say no to some things so that I can be a better advocate. You know what I mean? So I still struggle with that one. I'm still working on it. So that is out for 2025. Before I respond to an email with absolutely, I need to get in the habit of waiting 24 hours and like looking at my capacity and my calendar and my schedule and just being more mindful of it. Right. So another in for me is seeking out intentional rest. Now, this is one I feel like totally hypocritical about, because I am the first person to tell teachers and leaders this, like, you need to invest time for rest. And also just activities that feel a little slower. And by that, I mean, like, I feel like my brain is just always in chaos. I feel like my schedule is always in chaos. And again, like, the heart of a teacher and a leader, I think all of us, like, we always have 86 things to do. And we're always like running from thing to thing and place to place, and like managing different initiatives and like supporting our people along the way. It's always chaos. There's always 86,000 things to do. And I think that chaos like does change like our brain chemistry a little bit, right? To just expect chaos all the time. So I want to be more intentional with rest and like carving out time. Now, that is a privileged thing to say. And I want to acknowledge that and name it, because some of us don't have the luxury of time. You know what I mean? I got really frustrated, and I think I've shared that in this space too. I've gotten really like hurt by people who say like, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, at different seasons of my life, I'm like, I don't have a hobby. And they're like, well, Carly, like, that's ridiculous that you don't have a hobby. Like, everyone can take 5 minutes for themselves. And at that certain seasons of my life, I didn't have 5 minutes unless I wanted to wake up at 4:00 in the morning. And truth be told, I probably could have woken up at 4:00 in the morning, but I didn't want to because I needed to prioritize my sleep. So I don't want to like set myself up, and because I think that will lead later to guilt and shame, which is something else I want to talk about. But just being more intentional about identifying intentional rest opportunities. This could mean that while I'm driving home from work, I turn off the volume and I ride in silence. That might be my rest or my opportunity to move slower that day. See what I mean? So like just the little pockets of time that does exist. How can I use that for more intentional rest and like recovery from the chaos of the day? So this is a book that my colleagues recommended, and I haven't read it yet. Again, this is another one. And I put this, you know what? I'm going to make it a conscious decision right now. I'm going to move this book from my personal pile of books to read to my professional pile. Yeah, that's just a quick little mind boop right now, a little mind shift for me, because this does impact my work, right? So this book is called Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto. This is Tricia Hersey, founder of the Nap Ministry. I know. I'm like super curious. I believe there is an Instagram account, I think, called the Nap Ministry, but I am really excited. Maybe I should move this to being my first book. My first professional book. But anyway, I think this can help me like support that identification of intentional rest, and also activities that feel slower. I'm going to just reference these two because if I've come to your district, or if you've come to an in-person workshop that's longer than 60 minutes, this is not really easy for me to do during like if I speak at a conference. But I get these like rolls of coloring pages, like they're big rolls, and like they go on, I think they're like 5 feet, but I just chop them up and then I use them almost like a table runner. Oh gosh, these are going everywhere now. So I just chop them up and I use them kind of like a table runner on tables. So like if I do probably anything over like a 2-hour session in a school or a district, I will lay these out on the table, and I encourage people to color while we learn, because some of us need something to do with our eyes and our hands. It also helps us to like unpack that unwritten norm of like eye contact. That is not, I don't view eye contact as engagement. I think especially as us as adults, we don't have to show eye contact or track the speaker during professional learning sessions, because there are plenty of other ways for us to engage with each other. So again, that's kind of my own personal belief. And I also have like just the printable ones. I have these on a Canva template. I'll see if I can link it. But you just swap out the words. So you can put like affirmations on it and stuff like that. But I'll also include these like when I go and speak at different places and spaces. But I think, again, that's another thing for us, because it's a therapeutic way for us to listen. Just like that soothing feeling of coloring something in. And I know not all of us like feel that sense of like release and calmness when we color, but some of us do. So I want to provide that as an option for folks. But anyway, that is one small thing that I try to incorporate within my work to demonstrate that idea of like things that feel a little bit slower in the chaos of all of our work. Okay, I have a few more. So related to that idea of seeking out intentional rest, my big out for 2025, guilt and shame over everything. I feel guilt and shame over everything. And I am the person up in the middle of the night because like my dog makes a sound or something. My dog is the worst. My Shih Tzu. My Great Dane sleeps through the night like a champ, but my Shih Tzu, who's like 9, he doesn't. He's like, yeah, sleep regressions, all that. But anyway, so if I wake up in the middle of the night, I will stay awake and think about a conversation I had 7 years ago. or 13 years ago and be like, I wish I would have handled that different. Or like, gosh, like, what if they left that conversation feeling this way? And again, like, I will just like relive that moment over and over and just feel tremendous guilt over it. Yesterday, was it yesterday? I was like late, like probably 10 minutes late to picking up my daughter from school. And I felt so guilty about it because it's cold out. And she was like waiting in the parking lot. I was like, gosh, I'm the worst mom ever. I need to be able to provide a little bit more grace for myself. This is my first time on this planet, you know? And even though I've been on this planet for about 40 years, I'm still learning. I'm still trying my best. And there's plenty of days where I don't get it all right. Right? Like, I gotta let stuff go. So I am on an ongoing journey to remove guilt and shame. And I've been a little bit better about naming that and saying it out loud. Like, I don't need to feel guilty for this. It is okay. I think there's two things. I think there's like one thing of like ownership and accountability. Like, I want to make sure that next time I'm in this scenario, I do this, right? So that I am making a plan to like better myself and improve myself. Like, I don't think those need to be separate things, right? Like, I can still be on that journey to improve myself and like make plans for next time to do a little bit better by myself or my family or my work for the next time. And then also like, but I don't need to feel guilt for it. I don't need to be ashamed of myself for every mistake. You know what I mean? So that is one of my outs for 2025. Finally, the last two. My next in is just equipping myself, just continuing to equip myself with tools, with resources, with ideas, and protecting my energy, especially again during winter, because that's really hard for me. So I just want to maintain my journey of equipping myself, learning from perspectives that are different from my own. And sometimes I will say that is challenging for me, especially like last year was an election year and this year we have a change, right? So I need to be mindful of equipping myself with tools and resources and ideas and protecting my energy. Part of that, I think, has to do with doom scrolling. But yeah, just being more mindful of that. And then on the opposite end is imposter syndrome. I want that gone. I want it gone. I want to kick it out. I want to break up with imposter syndrome. I don't know why this continues to be something that like haunts me and follows me everywhere. But I really need to better equip myself for battling imposter syndrome. Yeah. So I'm curious if you have ins and outs that you would like to share with our community, please add that to the chat. Or if, again, you want to have like a little template to do this either for you personally or professionally, great. There's some templates that are linked down below on my blog. And then again, like things that you might consider with your students. What are their ins and outs? This is a great time for educators because it is the midpoint of the school year. Or maybe not quite, almost. But right, to like just kind of refresh ourselves and give ourselves permission to take stock and inventory of like, what are we keeping? What are we adopting or embracing as new for this year? And then what are we letting go of? What are we breaking up with? What are we cutting ties to this year? Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I'm excited for the rest of our episodes this month because I'll be bringing in some folks talking about upcoming things and events, and it's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have a great year. We're gonna have a great 2025. All right, y'all. I will see you next week. Take care.